But then Dr. Nelson showed up.
Well, it's about time that little monkey would be born. Your check for this deliver better not bounce, or I'll make sure one or both of you goes to prison where probably belong.
I thought that a different doctor was coming in to help with my delivery.
You wish. Don't worry. I promise that I'll try not to drop the thing. Of course, if I do, the world won't be that worse off with one less black person in it.
Hi there. My name is Clara, and I can't begin to explain just how angry I am right now. Usually most things just roll off me like water off a duck's back, but I've had the misfortune of meeting someone that crossed so many lines that he's lucky that I wasn't able to get my hands on him sooner and really do what I wanted to him. So in order to really tell my story, I need to start at the very beginning. My husband Harry and I moved to a small town because Harry got a new job. It was a big change for us, but both of us really liked the idea of living in a quiet town and raising kids there. We just thought it would be safer than living in a big city. So when Harry was offered the transfer, we saw it as a blessing, especially since a few months later, I got pregnant. Things felt like they were really falling into place. That is, until I met the town doctor. Hello, Dr. Nelson. It's nice to meet you.
Oh, I guess you're those two people that just moved into town. Huh. I've never helped with a delivery for people like you. I guess that it will be the same as anyone else, though.
People like me?
Yes, oh, don't be so sensitive. I'm going to assume that you can pay all the bills associated with this. I don't take food stamps or welfare checks.
My husband has a good job. As a black woman, it wasn't the first time that I had met someone who was racist, but it was the first time that I had met someone that I needed to work with that was racist. Sadly, the town that we moved to was so small that Dr. Nelson was the only doctor in the whole town, and the next closest town was hours away. That night when my husband got home, I told him about my visit, and while neither of us was very happy with the doctor, we knew that when it came time to going into labor, that it would be better to have a doctor in town and not have to travel hours away to a doctor. Even one that not only we liked, but also one that wasn't racist. Although that thought did seem more appealing as the months passed. My next visit with Dr. Nelson was to be a simple exam where the doctor would need to do an ultrasound. However, it really didn't go very well. Part of the test involved me drinking a lot of liquids. I was incredibly uncomfortable and I had to pee. Oh man, when is the doctor coming? I can barely hold this anymore.
He will be coming really soon.
I hope so. This is getting painful. We were waiting for 2 whole hours before I began getting impatient. Please, can you call the doctor and find out if he is going to be coming soon?
Yeah, this is really odd.
The nurse then called the doctor, who responded saying that he was on the golf course. He told us that he was almost done playing and would be coming back to the office soon enough. However, it was taking too long, and before I knew it, I peed myself. I was beyond embarrassed. By the time the doctor finally did show up, I was fuming. You have some nerve. Where were you?
Oh, relax. I was just blowing off some steam golfing. It's not like people like you aren't used to being dirty like this. Since you couldn't hold the liquid, though, we will have to reschedule the ultrasound.
Through clenched teeth, I agreed to reschedule. Thankfully, the next appointment went smoothly, but my patience had long since been exhausted. I'm really not a violent person, but I was close to snapping and punching him. As the months passed, though things were not really improving, I needed more important appointments to make sure that my pregnancy was going well, but Dr. Nelson all but ignored my husband and me. We called nonstop, and he would just let his nurses answer the phone. It got so bad that my husband went down to his office, and Dr. Nelson called the police on him. Nothing happened, but the police told my husband that he should avoid the doctor's office for a bit. I was so confused until I found out what happened. Apparently, my husband went down there and had demanded that Nelson stop avoiding us and help us out. However, the doctor got frustrated and he called my husband a racial slur, which set him off. He was going to attack the doctor when a few nurses intervened and stopped the fight before it started. My husband had to apologize in order for the doctor to keep seeing me, but he also had to promise that he wouldn't come with me to my visits anymore. Not like they were much help, though. I mean, Dr. Nelson practically refused to see me, which meant most of my prenatal care came from doctors online. At that time, it felt like moving to that town was the worst thing we could have done in the world. I hated living there, and having go see that racist jerk only made me hate the town even more. 1 month before my due date, I had to go and see Dr. Nelson to make sure that my blood work was good. It was then that I almost lost it on Nelson. He came into the office to take my blood to have it tested and instantly turned into an asshole.
Oh, it's the monkey. Well, I guess I'll take your blood. Why can't you people have your own doctor, though?
I clenched my teeth again and waited for him to draw my blood. He was sloppy and did a poor job of taking the blood, and it hurt quite a bit. Afterwards, he saw that I was in pain, and he sneered at me.
Huh, and I thought you people had a better pain threshold. I guess you aren't one of those black people that is on drugs all the time. By the way, thanks for leaving that psycho husband of yours at home. The next time I see him, I'm going to knock his teeth out.
The doctor stood up and quickly walked out, which was a good thing, because he left before he had time to see the nurse jump in front of me and stop me from smashing him in the back of the head with a paperweight that was on the desk near to me. I didn't even realize what I was doing until the nurse asked me to calm down and slowly took the object from me.
I know you're upset, but don't worry. Me and the other nurses have called up another doctor, and when the time comes for your delivery, we are going to have the other doctor step in. We promise that that vile man will not deliver your baby.
I thanked her gratefully before I sat back down and did some breathing exercises in order to calm down. I had no way of knowing if what she said was true, but I wanted to believe her, and so I held out hope that she had been speaking the truth. And then the day came and my water broke, and we rushed down to the doctor's office. It was in the middle of the night and I was terrified, but we got there and the nurses made me as comfortable as possible. But then Dr. Nelson showed up.
Well, it's about time that little monkey would be born. Your check for this deliver better not bounce, or I'll make sure one or both of you goes to prison where probably belong.
I thought that a different doctor was coming in to help with my delivery.
You wish. Don't worry. I promise that I'll try not to drop the thing. Of course, if I do, the world won't be that worse off with one less black person in it.
That was the last straw. Despite the pain, I dug deep and punched the doctor in the face so hard that he flew across the room. He landed with a crash, hitting his head on a tray before passing out as he thudded to the floor. For a moment, I wondered if I had killed him, but when the nurse rushed over to check, she said he was just knocked out. A brief wave of relief washed over me, but my contractions worsened. The pain was overwhelming, but the nurse reassured me that I was still far from being ready, which was fortunate since the other doctor was still on his way. He was driving in from the next town over and wouldn't arrive for a couple of hours. Just as I was about to demand the nurse call for a firefighter or a police officer or really anyone that could deliver this baby, the doctor showed up. His name was Steve, and he was super sweet and really made me feel at ease. Not longer he arrived, I went into labor for real, and Dr. Steve helped me to deliver a very happy and healthy baby boy. My husband and I were ecstatic but also very angry with the actions of Dr. Nelson. It was a strange mix of excitement and frustration. Once we had our little baby in our hands, we headed home to try and relax. I knew that I was probably going to be in trouble over what happened with Dr. Nelson, but I was so exhausted after delivering our son that I just couldn't stay awake any longer. When I woke up, I was pleasantly surprised to find out that the nurses had covered for me. They had told the other doctor that there had been an accident, and Dr. Nelson had slipped and fallen and had hit his head when he did. The doctor believed the story, which meant that I had a little bit extra time to enjoy with my son. As it turned out, Dr. Nelson had been put into a coma from the fall, and the doctor that had come from the neighboring town wasn't sure when he would wake up, but he was certain it would be a few days at the very most. 3 days later, Dr. Nelson woke up, but funny enough, he couldn't remember what had happened. He had suffered brain damage and his memory was completely gone. He could barely remember his own family. Oddly enough, he was no longer racist and turned into a very friendly and happy person. Although since his memory was so incredibly damaged, he could no longer be the town doctor. The one from the neighboring town ended up staying as a temporary fill-in, but after a few months chose to stay permanently. I couldn't believe it. I had really dodged a bullet there. Part of me felt really bad that I had caused Dr. Nelson to have permanent brain damage, but honestly, he's just lucky that I was in labor and not able to really hurt him worse than I had. He's lucky that he's even alive today. So there you have it. That is how my wonderful son came into the world. He's older now and just started walking. We still live in the same town, and now that the whole business with the doctor is in the past, I have to say that I love living here now. As it turned out, the doctor was the only racist in town. So far, everyone else has been super friendly and wonderful. My husband and me could not be happier to be living here and growing our family here, in this quaint little town. Thanks for watching. Make sure to subscribe and leave a comment down below saying I subscribed, and we will try our best to reply to your comment.